Welcome back. This is the writing section. You have not, in fact, escaped English class. Now, personally, I don't consider myself to be a very good songwriter. I still want to provide you with useful information, but here it's mostly taken from external resources. If I ever get good, I might make a better version of this video. I've decided to split this video into 3 parts. Number 1, techniques for creative storytelling. Number 2, the poetic elements of writing such as meter and rhyme scheme. And number 3, rap. Yes, rap gets its own section. Now for me, when I think about lyrics and what purpose they serve in the song, what they do is make the story of your song concrete. Songs pretty much always have narratives to them. They have sections, they have tension and release, they have build-ups and climaxes. The downstream implication of this is that your lyrics should follow the musical format. For example, if you're writing a pop song, the chorus should probably be the part of your lyrics that's easiest to sing. The musical portion of the chorus and the lyrical portion of the chorus should line up to produce the section with the most power and the most hype. Like when Twilight Sparkle is commanding you to follow the science. Now, writing lyrics is a little different from writing a prose story. Most obviously, in English, lyrics are expected to rhyme. But more importantly, we have verses, and in between those verses, we have choruses that repeat over and over again. But most stories are not Groundhog Day, so how do we deal with this repeating element in our lyrics? The typical approach to this is to have our choruses express a general idea, and have our verses place that idea in different contexts. For example, in I Am the Science, Twilight is frustrated with the poet skeptic, and she wants them to all shut up and follow the science. And in the verses, she describes all of the specific ways that she's frustrated. And note that there's a loose chronological progression that links all the verses together. In the first verse, she's talking about the 2 weeks to slow the spread. And then, in the second verse, she's talking about re-upping on your booster every week. Now, if you're the kind of person who has appreciation for vivid imagery or good stories in your lyrics, okay, boomer. But there are a few tips that may be helpful to you. I'm sure you've never heard this one before. Show, don't tell.
A second pack of cigarettes, it's a slow night, but there's time yet. Here comes John from his other life. He may be driving to his wife, but he'll slow down, take a look. I've learned to read them just like books. It's already 10:30, but they'll be back again. Headlights in the rainy street, I check, make sure it's not the heat. I wink, I smile, I wave my hand. He stops and seems to understand the small transaction we must make. I tell him that my heart will break if he's not a generous man. I step into his van.
Wow, imagine how boring this song would be if Sting had just told us to our faces that he was a prostitute waiting for a customer.
Actually, I only have one other tip, and that's the first verse that you write does not actually have to be the first verse in the song. Sometimes you might have trouble writing the second verse. So a way you can reframe this is, instead of thinking, where do I go from here from the first verse, make the first verse the second verse and ask, how did I get to this point? And that's all I have to say about creative storytelling. Now it is time to dive deep into your high school English classes, because we're looking at the poetic elements of writing, and yes, there will be iambic pentameter. Just kidding, there will be no iambic pentameter here. But there will be meter, along with all the other piddling little things that people who analyze poems like to concern themselves with, like rhyme scheme and quality of rhyme. Sometimes, it can be helpful to have these concepts in the back of your head when you're writing lyrics. Let's start with the rhyme scheme. Most Western poetry and lyrics are based on rhyming, that is, having similar sounding words at the end of each line. Rhyme scheme describes the arrangement of rhymes throughout the entire lyric. We notate rhyme scheme by assigning each rhyme a letter. This is easiest to illustrate with an example, so let's use cupcakes. All you have to do is take a cup of flour. This is our first line, so it receives the letter A. Add it to the mix. Mix does not rhyme with flour, so we assign it a different letter, B. Now just take a little something sweet, not sour. This rhymes with flour, so we assign it the letter A. A bit of salt, just a pinch. Pinch kinda rhymes with mix, so we assign it the letter B. So we would say the rhyme scheme here is ABAB. Another small thing, the letter X is used to denote a line that does not rhyme with any other nearby lines. As Westerners, the most common rhyme schemes we encounter are ABAB or AABB, rhyming couplets.
Those vampire bats will give you a fright, eating apples both day and night. They rest for a minute, maybe 3, then they're eating every apple in your apple tree.
Rhyming couplets is a very common rhyming scheme in rap.
With so much drama in the LBC, it's kinda hard being Snoop D-O double G, but I Somehow, some way, keep coming up with funky ass shit like every single day.
Now, depending on who you ask, just because these rhyme schemes are common does not make them bad. In fact, it's because these rhyme schemes are so common that we can do interesting things with rhyme schemes. And here we arrive at the whole crux of this section. The idea that some songwriting theorists have is that if you do something that's unexpected in the context of messing with rhyme scheme or meter, the listener will pay more attention to it. So you can intentionally mess with the rhyme scheme to put something important there, such as the title of the song.
A true, true friend helps a friend in need. A friend will be there to help them see. A true, true friend helps a friend in need to see the light that shines from a true, true friend.
Now that we've talked about rhyme scheme, let's talk about quality of rhymes. The most basic rhymes we learned in English are perfect rhymes. These are pairs of words like end and send, or male and fail, or double and trouble. But lyricists do not merely limit themselves to perfect rhymes. There are many other, less perfect kinds of rhymes out there, and you can see them on this screen. I'm not going to fucking read them off to you. Now again, the theory goes that the quality of rhymes can be manipulated to create tension and release. More unstable or imperfect rhymes can create more ambiguity in the rhyme scheme, and thus greater tension. But personally, I'm not sure that people pay that much attention to lyrics. Last and most infamous, meter. Meter is a way of characterizing the quote-unquote rhythm of verse. Only here, the term rhythm has nothing to do with musical rhythm. We describe verses as having beats, which have nothing to do with beats in music. Beats are actually stressed syllables in words. Iambic pentameter, the one from your English class, involves 5 beats, and it's more complicated than that, but iambic pentameter isn't important here. Now, poetic rhythm deals with how many and where the beats occur within lines. Common meter, so-called, is one of the most common meters used in Western music, and it involves an alternating arrangement of 4 beats per line and 3 beats per line. Most songs do not follow meters as closely as classical poetry does, but it can still be useful as a concept to have in the back of your head when you're analyzing or writing lyrics. For example, we can squeeze the verse of Winter Wrap-Up into the paradigm of common meter.
The time has come to welcome spring and all things warm and green, but it's also time to say goodbye. It's winter, we must clean. The time has come to welcome spring and all things warm and green, but it's also time to say goodbye. It's winter, we must clean.
Once again, the theory goes that interesting stuff happens once you start deviating from the meter, adding a different number of stresses per line. Again, the idea is that we're conditioned to expect certain patterns of meter, like common meter, but we can surprise the listener by deviating from that. Now, in practice, before I knew about any of this meter stuff, I just wrote lyrics to an improvised melody. I'm not really sure that any of this poetic stuff is that important, but really I think the most important part is that you don't end up like Lil Pump.
100 on my wrist, 80 on my wrist. What? 100 on my wrist, 80 on my wrist. 100 on my wrist, 80 on my wrist. 100 on my wrist, 80 on my wrist.
Deros, 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 Deros,
Deros.
Oh yeah, this is the rap section. The interesting thing about rap as a genre is that it focuses on wordplay and clever rhyming to provide part of the appeal of a song. This isn't something that you see in most other genres. In most rock, pop, or country songs, people don't care about how cleverly you can rhyme 2 words together. But in rap, you have people like Eminem whose entire careers are based off of how well they can twist words to rhyme with each other. When I'm and I'm don't rhyme with venom unless you're Eminem.
Taste my venom. I got that adrenaline momentum, not knowing when I'm never gonna slow up and I'm ready to snap any momentum. Thinking it's time to go get 'em. They ain't gonna know what hit 'em. When they get
So the genre conventions of rap give you a lot more leeway with wordplay. You can have more fun with how you play with language. You're almost expected to be less serious. You can rhyme multiple syllables. You can mess around with metaphors and similes and common turns of speech. You can split or twist the pronunciation of words to make them rhyme. And you can use puns.
never even been charging connection with battery, bitch. You ain't plugged into nothing. Rap gods with lyrical bullets. When gas cock, your partners better tool up. This has not to do with muscular, but have guns for sure. You better put a strap on, other words, if you're gonna roll up with your gang. You gonna need an arsenal, cause this bar is over your head. So you better have arms if you're gonna pull up.
As a side note, there's a lot more than wordplay when it comes to making convincing rap. All of the important rappers have their own unique style of interacting with rhythm. For example, and I think I mentioned this earlier, but a lot of West Coast rappers like Snoop Dogg and Be Real from Cypress Hill actually rap slightly behind the beat. There's a whole subcommunity of technical rappers like Eminem and Tech9 who use unique rhythmic constructions. The unique way in which each rapper interacts with rhythm and deciding things like what syllables to stress constitute what is known as flow. And if you're looking to get into rap, then people are going to be interested in seeing you develop your flow. Okay, I'm gonna stop myself there. I'm not one of those people who grew up with rap music, and it's almost 2 a.m. Next time, however, you can look forward to the only section that anybody really cares about, mixing.